Hello and welcome to another episode of Bicycle Touring Talk. My name is George Schlacek, also known as
The one and only.
In this episode, we will break away from my adventures in Veracruz and talk about staying healthy while on the road.
You're not going to get infected with this in your face. I can almost guarantee it.
Another video about the pandemic or what?
No.
We're good.
Disclaimer, the advice in this video may be insufficient during a global pandemic.
Bicycle touring for extended periods, covering long distances day after day, is not for the faint of heart. However, that doesn't mean that only a handful of super healthy elite athletes should do it. Quite the contrary. Even people who are somewhat out of shape can enjoy going on a tour as long as it starts off easy enough. This leads me to the first and most common kind of discomfort: fatigue-related conditions. There will be sore muscles, aching joint, and a raw butt. You may even get cranky and irritable if you take on too much too soon. How much pain you go through will be a good indicator of what physical condition you're in, and it will also allow you to custom tailor your tour. Cycling is always more enjoyable if you pace yourself. Over time, your tolerance level will increase, and rides that once seemed to require huge effort will become easier. When you first set out on a tour, spending up to 8 hours a day riding on your bike, your body is not used to it. Despite discomfort, you may be tempted to push yourself. But keep in mind that fatigue is cumulative. It is always a good idea to take an extra day of rest after an especially excruciating ride. Over time, your body will adapt. Given proper rest, even the raw skin on your butt will heal and become tougher. Other aches and pains will diminish, and soon you can cover more mileage with relative ease. You will condition as you go, and a few weeks into the trip, you may surprise yourself with performances you never thought possible. Of course, there will always be good days and some not so good ones. For example, the wind alone can make all the difference. We tend to set deadlines for almost everything we do, including the completion of a bicycle tour. It is easy to look at a map and figure out how many days it would take for a certain route based on average kilometers per day. Most of us will plan like that to some extent because we often don't have a choice. I'd recommend not getting too ambitious. Give yourself plenty of time and don't plan rest days too far in advance. Your body will know when it's time to rest, so listen to it. It can be very tempting to pick certain places of interest for rest days. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you have enough time to also take unplanned days off whenever you need them. Allowing for plenty of rest will significantly cut your risk of injury and fatigue-related illness. Spending too much time on your bike, always trying to push yourself, becomes dull pretty fast. It'll leave you more vulnerable to injury and can even make you sick. At this point, I'd like to go back to one of the criteria for a good touring bike. Your bike should be comfortable. If it's not, your tour could be more like torture. An uncomfortable seat, for example, will do more harm than just a sore butt if you ignore it and keep riding. You can literally burn your skin off. It took me 2 extended tours to learn how important a good bicycle seat is. After trying out a variety of different saddles, I have found an unpadded leather seat, the Brooks, to be the right choice for me. While this is not padded at all, it seems to be molded to a good shape and it is reasonably comfortable even when new. Over time, the seat will break in, which means the leather will adapt to your individual shape and you will barely feel it at all. If your bike is well fitted, you will be able to ride completely pain-free for extended periods, which is essential for the enjoyment of your tour. A sore butt may be among the most common, however, it's by far not the most serious problem you may encounter. Riding a bike all day means exposure to the elements. As much as you may like sunshine, your skin is probably not prepared for it. The result can be sunburn so bad it can land you in the hospital. The best weapon you have against it, as far as I know, is sunscreen, but it is far from perfect. Some cyclists avoid riding around the noon hour, which is a smart strategy if you can stick to it. The sun is usually most intense between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. So if you get up early, ride till about 11, then take a long lunch break, you will avoid a lot of UV rays and cut your risk of skin damage a great deal. Riding in the rain can pose another problem altogether. When your skin is wet, your body will lose heat a lot faster than normal. Add to it the wind, perhaps even from descending some nice hill at a good speed, and you can end up with hypothermia. You may remember how I told you about my very first night on my tour when the temperature dropped to -7 degrees. It does not have to be below freezing to get hypothermia. The right clothes can go a long way in preventing this condition, and it's best to dress in layers. Wear a breathable top layer. Even hot climate is not without its unique challenges. Dehydration can sneak up on you without much of a warning. Riding a bicycle is intense. You will sweat and lose gallons of water and important minerals along with it. Neglect replenishing either of those and trouble will catch up with you fast. Electrolyte drinks, Gatorade for example, can be helpful in preventing dehydration, but they are far from perfect. They're usually packed with sugar and artificial color. Of course, as a cyclist, you will burn the sugar in no time, but your body needs a lot more than what is in those drinks, which aren't the cheapest and may not always be available. The key to preventing dehydration is balanced nutrition. Besides drinking a lot of water, you will also have to eat mineral-rich foods. In hot countries, the local food is usually sufficient to keep your minerals balanced. If you're sweating all day long, a bit extra salt may not be a bad idea. Go for the soup before your main course once in a while. Bananas and nuts are also rich in minerals and can make great snacks. In some places, it can be a challenge to find clean water. In Mexico, for example, the tap water is generally not suited for drinking. While locals might be unaffected, you could get sick for days. Remember how I told you about my extended stay in Veracruz? I laugh about it today, but it didn't feel so good at the time. Thankfully, bottled drinking water is available at every store and relatively cheap. It makes sense to carry a few bottles on the bike and buy drinking water by the gallon whenever possible. Iodine tablets and even portable water filters are also available if you're planning to travel far off the beaten path. In Mexico, many food vendors will serve a jug of purified ice water along with their meal. Take advantage of it. Clean water and good food are important. During an extended bicycle tour, you are at risk of suffering some form of food poisoning along the way. Every time you eat a meal or have a drink, you put your faith in the hands of strangers who prepared these. Most of them do their job well, but it doesn't take much to contaminate a batch of food, and it happens all the time. As a foreigner, you may not be able to spot the bad apples. If a meal just doesn't taste right, the better option may be to lose a couple of dollars and leave it on the table. If you're forced to buy food from a store that looks poorly attended, go for the stuff that is usually unlikely to perish. I have made the mistake of buying ice cream from such stores and paid the price more than once. How can you tell if the ice cream was put in the freezer promptly after delivery? You will know it soon after consuming it. But cycling with diarrhea is no fun, and it will quickly dehydrate you, worse than sweating alone. I am not a physician, but as you may have noticed, I have my ways of dealing with minor illness that does not involve doctors or medication. I will slap on skin cream for sunburn, eat nutritious food to keep healthy, but mostly I believe in plenty of rest. This means when overcoming a sickness, I will not cycle until my strength is back, and even then I start off easy. Except for food or water poisoning and some minor scratches from a fall. By the way, don't ride in flip-flops. I've been spared major illness or injury during my bike tours. I take precautions to ensure it stays that way, but cycling can be a dangerous activity. A collision with another vehicle can land you in a foreign hospital, or worse, the morgue. There's always some risk, but don't forget it is possible to get in trouble anywhere, cycling or not. For some countries, it might be a good idea to read up on vaccinations that are available to protect against common disease. Malaria and yellow fever are two examples. Some countries even include those in their entry requirements. Consult the internet for up-to-date information. Many diseases are transmitted via insects. Mosquitoes in swampy, tropical areas are known to transmit yellow fever, malaria, and dengue. I personally have not suffered from any of those, but know that they are all serious enough to require medical attention as well as rest until completely recovered. You don't want to catch any of them, so take precautions against insect bites. Diseases are a fact of life. They can sneak up on you anytime. As a cyclist, your body is in better shape than most, so you will likely recover quickly. Travel medical insurance might be a good idea, or at least a travel budget that allows you to visit a doctor when needed. I'll end it here. Did I leave anything out that you can think of? Please leave me a comment. You might be itching to find out how my tour went on. Remember, I was at a crossroads deciding between aimlessly bumming around Mexico and perhaps landing a teaching gig in Veracruz. Be sure to tune in next week as I'll tell you how the situation developed. If you're not subscribed yet, I'd really love you to do that. This series is based on my book. Yeah, where is it? It's based on my book. Destinations are fake. You may want to catch up on some of my prior videos, perhaps even order the book. A link is in the description below. I'll see you next time.